Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We are breaking up with our bullshit. This is episode 3. I am Tawny Santabria.
And I am JDK Winnikin. Good to see you, Tawny.
Nice to see you, too.
How are things?
Hot.
Hot.
Things are hot.
And yesterday was your birthday.
And yesterday was my birthday. Mm-hmm.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, was it a good birthday?
It was a good birthday. They all are good birthdays.
Oh.
They're
as
birthday. It's a birthday, right?
Right. As good as we make them.
Yes.
Boy, talk about something that we make stories about.
Yeah. Whoa, lots of stories
Lots
about
of
birthdays.
bullshit stories about birthdays.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
we all do that. In fact, I think there have been entire movies and TV shows done
I think so.
about birthdays and people's hang-ups on birthdays. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, here we are back for episode 3. You ready to roll?
I am ready.
Okay, so how was episode 2 for you? We talked about the first time, episode 1, and you talked about your nodding.
Yes, my nodding obsession.
Nodding obsession. And I talked about my worries about my neck and my chin, which I'm now self-conscious about again.
Poofing into something.
Poofing into something.
I think you said something like
I
that.
made fun of the size of my cranium. So how was the experience of the second time as opposed to the first time for you?
Yes. I felt so much more comfortable. The whole way home wondered if I talked too much because I was talking more the second time than the first time.
Right. We were getting your backstory on stuff. Right.
Yeah. As a counselor, I don't necessarily have somebody come see me and then, start with my backstory.
Right.
So feels a little bit strange, but it felt really good. And I didn't find anything to be too critical about myself that time.
How about that?
Yeah.
So was there something what's the opposite of being critical? Lauding yourself for? Was there something that you did that you really like, hey, I did that really well?
Yeah. Well, I just thought, wow, I looked a little more comfortable, sounded a little bit more comfortable, talked a little bit louder, like I followed some of the directions or feedback advice.
Yes.
Yes. So felt good about that.
Oh, good. Well, that's good because all those things I think were true. I think you certainly seemed like you felt a lot more comfortable and all that.
An interesting thing is.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I got caught up on. I noticed in the replay when I listened to it, you know how you like to nod a lot? Apparently, I really love the word interesting.
You really do. It's true.
It was bad. I mean, just a lot of interesting uses of the word interesting in interesting scenarios, and I found everything interesting.
Everything is interesting, right?
But here's the thing that drives me crazy about that. First of all, repeating anything, is always awkward when you hear someone do that. I also say right a lot, I realized.
Oh.
But with interesting, the thing about it is when I used to teach and have students respond in papers or verbally to things, I would chafe internally, not externally, hopefully, when they would respond with interesting. I'd say, so what did you think of that passage that you just read? What do you, well, I found it interesting. Because it doesn't mean anything.
It means nothing.
It means, I realize why people say that. And it's a way to say, yes, they were engaged in it. But it doesn't say much beyond that. And so it drove me insane. And I remember sitting in faculty lounges and stuff, and we would talk about this. And so I am guilty of the very thing that I cannot stand. And boy, when I noticed that, immediately the story's like, what does that mean? Because what I used to say that meant for students was they hadn't quite formulated how they felt or what they really thought yet, so they couldn't say. So does that mean because I'm using interesting? I don't think that's true. Yeah. But what if it is true? And what does that mean if not true? Are people going to think I'm not prepared? Are they going to think I don't know what to say? See where I went?
Yes.
Boom. That's so anyway, the only thing we can really do is try to rectify that. I need to be aware of that. And you took it upon yourself.
Yes, I did. I found this to be really important to work through.
But not interesting.
With you. Not interesting, but very important.
Okay.
So we are going to help you out.
Oh, all right.
Yes. So I gathered, I don't know if you noticed, on our Facebook group, I gathered some other terms, other words.
Synonyms.
Yes, synonyms that you could use.
Okay.
And everybody wanted to help out with this, but they didn't know yet what they were helping out with, but they were so helpful. So we've got lots of choices
This is
for
great.
you.
So this is all from listeners.
Yes, all
Awesome.
from listeners and followers of our Facebook
Okay,
group.
lay it on me.
Okay. We've got lots of votes for fascinating. So fascinating's a good one for
Okay,
you.
fascinating.
How stimulating. That was one too. You might not use that in replacement all the time, but that is that's something. That was one. I thought that was really good.
Okay.
I love because that can mean all sorts of things. You could
Right.
have fun with that one. I also, let's see, we've got inspiring, enthralling.
Enthralling. Noteworthy.
Noteworthy wasn't on the list, but that's a great one.
All right.
We've got unusual or I almost said stimulating again. What's that about? Okay. Intriguing.
Remarkable.
Remarkable wasn't on here either, but yes, captivating.
Captivate. All right. This is great. Can I sit with that list, or do you want to just interrupt me when I use interesting?
I'm gonna do something when you say interesting. Hopefully I'll catch it. I think I can do that.
Okay.
But I'm definitely gonna let you know to go to your list.
Okay.
Somehow, some
Okay.
way.
Those of you on video can see she has a list. She can just shove it over.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to do?
I
You're gonna
think
shove it at me?
I think so. Or I might just say, and I might just give you a couple options or something. Who
This
knows?
is great.
I don't know.
Teamwork in action.
Yes, we are here to help.
Fantastic. So, and that is remarkable. How about, I'm just practicing.
Yeah,
It may not actually be applicable right there, but at least it's not interesting.
It's not interesting. So
interesting.
you are on your way. This is going to be good.
Okay, this is good. All right, so that's what the main thing I noticed, and yet alongside that, overall, we got really good feedback on the last episode. A lot of people really engaged in it, and you know what I love about presence work is that oftentimes what needs to happen next becomes evident. Right. You know, that's one of the things I've loved about it. Rather than worrying about, okay, what to do next. And in this context, what should we talk about next? What should we do next? Kind of let it emerge. And when I'm present, that awareness of what that next step is usually just kind of materializes in front of me. And I took as that sign this time around the feedback I got within literally hours, and then over the next few days after the episode dropped, of people in various ways with various directions and feelings, bringing up this notion of what I should have, what I should know by now, what I should be doing by now, or what I could be doing, or what if I hadn't done this, or why do I feel, I have all these things in life. Why do I still feel blank?
Like I should be happy.
I should be happy. I'm not. That was one. I should be happy with what I've got. Had other people who said, I did everything I felt I was supposed to do, which is kind of the related word to should, I guess, supposed to.
Yeah.
And I felt empty. And I can relate to that. Once upon a time, many years ago, I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, got all those things, and felt empty. So I get that. But it was amazing, Tawny, like 5 people in a row.
Isn't that funny?
And I went, okay, there's something to this. And so certainly those stories, particularly those of us in I guess we're Generation X area, right in there. We're asking ourselves a lot of those questions and having a lot of those shoulds.
The bullshoulds.
The bullshoulds.
The bullshoulds.
That is a very stimulating term to use in this kind.
I have a bullshould story.
A bullshould.
Yeah, just from my birthday yesterday.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Just
So
easy,
something big
tiny.
or small?
No, it's a tiny one.
Tiny. Okay.
But I just noticed that should
Okay.
pop up. So here it was. It was time to sing Happy Birthday to Me. Not that I would sing it, but other people would sing it, right? These beautiful gluten-free chocolate cupcakes. Some of them had the peanut butter frosting beautifully done. I mean, they just looked so pretty you didn't even want to eat them. The other ones were vanilla and chocolate. Beautiful, right? So I've got some not as many years of candles on one cupcake, but I've got some candles on a cupcake. And they're lit, and the birthday song. And then here's the pressure of my birthday wish. A birthday wish comes to mind. I can't share it because then it doesn't happen. I have to keep it to myself. No spoiler alert. But then immediately I thought, should I ask for that wish? Should I have that wish? Is there a better wish? Like, I was bullshitting in the middle of my birthday wish.
And that's a time where you're not even supposed to question what that wish is.
If shoulds come up in a birthday wish, oh my gosh, they come up all over the place, everywhere. So I just decided to think of 3 or 4 things really quickly, and I just wished for them all.
Which, of course, you're allowed to do.
I had no idea. It felt good. It felt liberating. But just noticing that I asked myself, should I be wishing for that? What the heck?
Right, because where does that come from? Because is it like, because it was, I realize you can't say anything, but was it like, did it feel too, were you wondering, was it a too selfish of a wish? Was it too?
I think, I felt like pressure, like to have more of a what's the word, of some kind of a kinder wish, or maybe
like
not
an altruistic one.
Yeah,
Oh, see,
something like that. Right?
I might say interesting, but I can go with altruistic.
Yes, that
That's
was good. That
All
was
right,
good.
so something a little more like less focused on you.
Yeah.
So like world peace.
Yeah,
you
and
should
it's
be
my
wishing for
birthday.
that. Right.
Right.
You should be able to wish for a rack of ribs every day for the rest of your life, if
Exactly.
that's what you want.
Exactly.
Or to travel through a wormhole in space to another dimension.
Exactly. And that's the way shoulds get in the way.
Right.
Then they cover up what connection with ourselves, what we really want. They cover that all up because they divert us.
And they divert from the moment that you're being celebrated by the people who love you, wishing you a happy birthday.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of the right birthday wish. Oh my gosh. Right. So that pops up in the small, tiny places and, of course, the bigger places like you were talking about.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's the one thing that other people have commented on as well, is that they're starting to notice, as you and I have talked about many times, these things pop up around really small things and around really big things. And yet they can be, even from small places, they can pull us out of the present. And that opens us up to a lot more difficulty in the moment. And then it's that type of thing, like you pull one thread out of the sweater and you go far enough and you can pull that whole sweater apart, right? It's only one thing, but it can kind of unravel other things. And to me, that's why, as I've been doing more of this presence work, noticing those little moments feel really good to catch, because it's like practice to catch the bigger ones.
Yes.
Right.
That saying of small things often, right? That goes for positive changes, and small things often that are small shoulds often definitely take us out more often of potential present
small piles
moments.
of should.
Small piles
See,
of
we're
should.
having way too much fun.
And
with
then it makes it a big pile of should.
big pile of should. Bullshould.
I think we might have to change our name. What do you think?
Oh, well, that's only one angle.
True. It
One
doesn't-
angle.
yes.
Although maybe we did find a title for the episode.
Oh, maybe we did.
Something on
Okay,
that.
the
Bullshould.
Bullshouds.
The
Okay, I like it.
Bullshouds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, well, anyway, so that was the feedback we got. So I
Mhm.
thought that we could talk about that today. And I know that last time we'd mentioned that we've given a lot of background. People know who we are, kind of how we got connected,
Yeah.
have some introductions to what presence work is really about. And we've talked a lot about, trying to move from a head space to a body space is really the key of this. And we explained a little bit of that. There's a practice involved. And so at the risk of, talking too much from a heady space, we thought we could do that. So my thought was, let's take some of this discussion about shoulds and coulds and woulds and kind of build a practice around it.
Yeah.
So what would be a good way to do that? Should we pick something small? Should we pick something big? Do you want something from me? We could do a practice together.
Yeah. You have a big should, JD,
I do.
that we might be able to work with.
I have several. Which
Oh.
which is, as you know, I have several, but which one are you thinking about?
I am thinking about the kids one.
Oh, the
That
kids one.
should.
The
one.
kids one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we can do that. I should probably explain what that one is, right?
Just a little bit of that, and
Okay.
then we'll get into it.
Okay. I do not have children.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually the obligatory, as far as I know, joke that needs to be made right there. So I'm just going to leave that off to the side.
Okay.
Even though I guess I just made it. But nevertheless, I do not have kids. And I'm 47, and I'm not partnered. So that's not going to be happening anytime soon, just most likely.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And the majority of the time, actually more and more of time goes by, I'm okay with that. I have a niece and nephew who are awesome.
You get to
and
be super
I
uncle.
get to be super uncle, which is
So great.
which in some ways is the best job,
Yeah.
period.
Mhm.
And so I'm very happy with that. And I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it or lamenting it or anything like that. What can happen though, as you know,
Mhm.
is a should can come up around should I have them because I'm going to miss out on a fundamental human experience? Am I missing out on some important element of what it means to be human? And did I do something wrong by not having kids? Right. And it's something that it comes up usually when I'm around people with kids. And it's not something that, I resent other people for having kids or, I actually love them. I work with them, in my day job. I enjoy them a lot, but that's where it comes up.
Yeah.
Is did I do something wrong, or should I have had kids, or should I have made different choices in previous relationships I've had so that I could have had kids? Do other people think I did something wrong? I have kids. Because sometimes people look at me kind of weird. They'll ask, "Oh, so do you have kids?" No, I don't. Oh, and they don't say, they don't know what to say, and then all that's story fodder right there for me. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Or well,
Yep.
what are they wondering about me? All those things.
I remember you had asked me a question one time about were you missing out?
I said exactly that.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody what you said?
I said yes. You were missing out. But you're experiencing something other than.
Right. And it was built around, I think, a really interesting point. Oh
boy.
Caught
oh
it.
boy.
I
Ding,
caught
ding.
it. There it is. A very this is a tough one. I'm just going to go with notable.
Okay.
A very notable
Okay.
point that really stuck with me, and that was there is no such thing as a complete human experience.
Yes.
And that was something that really opened up a lot of things for me. The idea that, okay. And of course, it seems so obvious because we're choosing where we go, and then there are consequences or results of that.
Yeah.
So while I may not have the experience of being a parent, which gets celebrated and everybody likes for all understandable reasons, I'm having life experiences that people who have kids aren't.
Exactly.
And I know for a fact, many of them have the same shoulds from the other direction because they share them with me.
Yes.
Or they've shared with me more since we said that. But I remember when you said that to me, you said, yeah, you are missing out. I was like, oh, shit.
And it's not a problem.
Aren't you supposed to make me feel better? Yeah. And it's not a problem.
And it's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like that idea, going with that should.
Okay.
Because it is something that I can feel when it comes up.
Yeah.
And I do feel vulnerable sharing it and admitting it. Like I can feel it right now, knowing that people are going to be listening to this and watching it. It's not a vulnerability I like to always show. And so I'm a little, actually,
okay.
I'm a little twitchy all of a sudden. Weirdly, I'm feeling a little warm. Doesn't usually happen.
You just dropped some vulnerability.
I guess so.
Whew.
I guess so. All right. So,
Okay.
so we're going to do a practice around this should.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So what do you need me to do?
Yes. Well, I need you to just sit back
Okay.
in your chair and get comfortable. If there's a way to do that.
Okay. I'm going to pull in a little closer. Do you want me
Yes,
to lean back or sit up
yes.
straight?
What is comfortable for you?
I'll tell you once I get there.
Okay. This is all about your comfort and for all the listeners, right? As
Yeah.
JD figures out his comfortable spot here. Just to sort of get us going here. If you're listening and you're able to, and you want to practice along, feel free. If you're able to get comfortable in your seat, if you're able to maybe even you're in a place you can close your eyes, that could be helpful. We're going to start there. You don't have to though. So there's not going to be a whole lot of thinking or efforting that needs to be happening here as we get going. Just follow my words and, just take the pressure off.
Okay. Well, I'm
and
in
be
my
open.
spot.
Yeah,
I'm
you're in your spot.
I'm in my spot. So
Okay.
this is comfortable for me. I'm going
Okay.
to take a sip of my
Okay.
liquid here from my Boo
from
Wob's
your
mug.
Boo Wobs mug. Excellent.
We did have a winner last week.
We did.
We did.
Just
Tori won.
excited. Yep.
Yeah.
It was
So,
awesome.
anyway.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, JD. Soften your eyes. And everybody who's listening, just go ahead and allow your eyes to soften. And if that means closing them, go ahead and feel free to close your eyes. And just allow your eyelids to be heavy. So as I'm working with JD here, I'm talking to everybody who's listening right now. We all have a human experience or a should or something going on in our body right now. So just beginning to soften your eyes, soften your eyelids, and allow for some softness to enter your tongue. So without thinking about that too much, just allow maybe the tip of the tongue to sit right behind the two top front teeth and allow your jaw to be heavy. So again, not a whole lot of forcing here. Softening is the opposite of tension. So if you are noticing you're trying to make something happen, just soften some more.
I just did that.
Yeah, it happens real quick.
I just noticed that. Yeah, it tightens up.
We want to do the right thing, and we're putting all of our energy into this particular thing. Just listen to the word softness or soften, softening, and just allow for that to happen. Your body wants to soften. And then allow for a smile on the inside, whatever that means to you. It's not a forcing kind of thing. You might feel some lightness. You might feel an actual smile on your face. You might feel a softening somewhere in your body with a smile. You might feel a light of ray. It doesn't really matter what you feel. Just invite a smile on the inside. And as you continue to soften and smile on the inside, take an inhale and drop your awareness into your belly. So the belly sometimes can be quite tense. If you've got a history with discomfort around the belly for whatever reason, you might also, I'll use the word seat. So imagine the seat of yourself being sort of the lower abdominals, sort of inside all the way, the girdle, all the way around from your back to your sides to your front, that girdle where the pelvis sits. Just allow for that seat to be where you draw your awareness to. And notice as you inhale that expansion occurs. Notice that spaciousness just naturally occurs as you draw in that inhale. And I'm going to ask JD, what are you noticing here without going up into your head to think about what's here in your belly? What are you just noticing here in your belly or your seat?
It's tight to start. It was tighter than I had thought at the beginning or noticed, but it's relaxing. And because it's relaxing, it feels freer.
So allow for that relaxation and freedom to expand in your belly without forcing it to do anything in particular, just to invite spaciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now?
Things are settling. My body is settling. The activity, the activatedness I felt earlier is dissipating. I'm not hot anymore. I feel like I'm really aware that I'm cooling off.
Mm.
Part of that's because I'm suddenly really aware of the air moving around in this room.
Mm-hmm.
The air conditioner's on, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and that's helping the rest of me soften. At the beginning of this, softening my face was like it kept tightening up, kept tightening up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little more like the softening in my face is now matching the softening in my belly.
Mm.
So it feels I feel more even keel.
Mm-hmm. So what you're feeling is a sense of groundedness, a sense of centered and connection to a part of you, your seat or your belly, that is sort of the place in which we connect with ourselves. So as we allow for a few more moments here in this place of connection with ourselves, and there's a sense of relaxed, there's a sense of spaciousness, there's a sense of softening. And what's here now, JD?
For me, what's here now is I'm in a good place right now across the board. And what's interesting is I wasn't even thinking about what the should was.
You're just here.
That just went away until I just remembered how I got here. Wasn't really part of it. There's I guess you could call it okayness with that. And
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
great. Okay, so this connection with yourself, this sense of sort of calm here. There's not a problem here. You almost forgot about the thinking part of the should, because the should is from a thinking space. When we drop below the stories and the thinking space into creating connection to ourselves, we can feel a lot of different things. So you may, listeners, you may not be feeling the sense of calm and groundedness that JD's feeling, and that's okay. You're giving space to and allowing for whatever is coming up for you here. JD's done a lot of time here, and it isn't always a peaceful calm.
That's true.
But when we get below the stories, it's more often less of a problem. Okay. So here we are. And for folks listening, if you've gone up into your head to kind of think about what I'm talking about, or try to sort of like talk yourself into this, that, or evaluate or judge yourself for it not going in the way that maybe you would want it to, or, you know, you're tense, whatever is happening in your head, what I would just invite you to do is to continue to soften your eyes and your tongue, soften your face, allow for a smile, and sink back down to belly. So here we're centered, we're grounded. We've got a little bit more time, so we're going to, with JD, travel up to heart space for a moment. And sometimes when we come from belly to heart, our body wants to readjust. It naturally wants to shift. If you're noticing that for yourself, allow for that. If not, no worries. Again, we're softening into this, not trying to make something happen or trying to change anything. So as we move up to heart space for you, JD, just imagine that the breath is coming in and through heart space for a moment. Notice that as you inhale through heart space, the front of your body expands. It naturally does this.
Yep.
And so as you tune into heart space, another dimension of yourself, we already were in the belly, one dimension or the seat. We're moving up to heart space, another dimension. What do you notice here right now?
Awareness of really abundance. The people in my life. I'm thinking my niece and my nephew keep popping to mind. And the people that are closest to me. My friends, of which I have many. And it's interesting because it's noteworthy.
So what happens, what just happened for JD is he went right into his head.
Yep.
And that's not a problem, because that's what we want to do. So, because we've practiced it so much. We've spent so much time in our head. So I am just going to remind him to soften and come in, back down to belly, seat up to heart. So you said abundance.
Abundance and connection.
Abundance
I'm really
and
aware
connection,
of
yes.
all the good connection with people that I have in my life.
Yeah. And so heart space is where we connect with others. So sometimes, and this was certainly the case for JD and myself even, like when we start to really get into our body, we've protected ourselves in heart space for a long time. So if you're not noticing much, listeners, if in the heart space right now, or if it's tense, if it's tight, it feels a little scary, not a problem. Just allow for that sense to expand. So JD, allow for abundance. Allow for connection to expand. Feel it through your whole body. Give room and space for whatever it is that's coming online in our body. As we give room and space, welcome it, be with it, and let it move as it needs to move. No need to scrunch it up and lodge it in a place in our body because it's uncomfortable. So what's happening for you right now, JD?
Very centered, very calm, grateful. Gratitude is mainly what I'm feeling.
Just let it expand. Let it out expand even outside of your body. Just allow for it to grow, be what it wants and needs to be.
I'm grateful that we're doing this. It's great.
Yeah. So again, if this isn't the experience that you're experiencing right now, listeners, it's not a problem at all. You're not doing it wrong. We're all having our own sense of what's in our body. And it overlaps. So as JD is feeling grateful and he's feeling abundant and he's feeling centered, I'm receiving some of that. I feel that from him.
Mm-hmm.
So JD, when you are ready, you can hold this space in your body without effort and without trying to make it stay. Just allow for it to be. And as you begin to open up your eyes and sort of reconnect, maintain that sense in your body.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
It's great. This is where words get difficult to describe.
Yeah, because you got to go back in your head.
And part of it, I don't want to for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that gives it maybe some definition that I don't feel.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is I'm not concerned at all about the should or the reality that I don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not concerned about it.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of what that has meant for me.
Mm-hmm.
It also hasn't deprived me of anything that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I've experienced many times in this process, connected to me, and then that heart space connects to others. It's what we all need, and whether it's coming from kids or friends or parents or whatever, it's valuable wherever it comes from.
Yep.
And I'm experiencing is it isn't more valuable from one to another necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of that. So yeah, my head is quiet. I kind of want to leave it there. It's because everything's okay, right? It's
okay.
all okay.
Yeah.
And it'll still be a question. It'll still come up. What's happened though the other times? It's interesting because notable.
Okay, we're not going to switch interesting for notable. You can't use. Then we got a whole nother thing. So yes.
What's lovely?
Oh, lovely. I love lovely.
What's lovely is the more times I practice around those shoulds, whatever the stories are, including that one, the less often they come up, the faster I catch them as stories, and the less impact they have even before I do any practice to get present. And over time, that it changes my awareness.
Yeah.
It has and what I'm focused on and how I'm doing things, which is a newer space for me historically. I think I mentioned in the first episode, I always believed my brain had to power me through everything, had to explain everything, had to decide everything, had to solve everything. what I love about presence is it helps figure out what needs to be solved and what doesn't. And it doesn't need to be my head that does it.
Yeah.
And my head goes to a different space when I'm connected. Different words come out of my mouth from this space.
Yep.
You know, what I called, I think, going up the ladder, right? The belly to the heart space to the head. Different words come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
They sound different. I can tell they sound different just right now. I feel softer, more connected, less on guard. I guess introspective, but from more of an awareness of how I'm feeling, what's happening. And right now, it'd be groovy talking about whatever you want to talk about. So
You're just laid back and calm, and all is cool, right? Because a lot of our problems are created when we think about the things, as
what
opposed,
they all mean.
right? As opposed to what we are actually experiencing in the body right now. So if we make an experience in the body wrong and we go to think about that experience, we are outside of our experience. We are no longer in the experience.
Right. We've turned it into something else.
Yeah.
And that's where the bullshit stories come from.
Yes.
The things that no longer serve us. The things
Yes.
that don't serve us, because it takes us away from that spot. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was different for you today was that you were feeling abundance and you were easily centered and grounded. It is a little more tricky if we're experiencing discomfort, and our pattern is to get away from discomfort.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we confronted that a lot early on. I had to really, I wouldn't even say learn. I had to experience that discomfort. When you would say expand, let that discomfort expand.
Yeah.
I remember having reactions to that early on, being like, what do you mean let it expand?
Right.
If it expands, it's going to swallow me up. It's going to overwhelm me. And what ended up happening is it didn't do those things, but a lot of emotions came. A lot of those things came out. The things that I always usually tried to stuff down, they came out. Well, what came with them was, in that process, was more clarity, my head in a different space, because it was connected to that ladder.
Yep.
And then suddenly it's almost like it was following the lead of what was there, rather than what I've done in the past, where my head tries to lead everything else. And I had to get comfortable with that discomfort. And that is probably still the biggest challenge in those moment-to-moment things, when the discomfort is there, to not fight it, but also not ignore it and wallow in it at the same time, to be aware, and then to to let it be what it is, and get into this state as best I can, to let that kind of move its way through.
Right. If we
That's the hard
imagine
part.
just emotions just kind of like moving in and out.
Yeah.
We're sad one moment, we're overwhelmed another, we're curious another, we're frustrated another. And if we just let them flow in and out, and part of the flow means we've got to acknowledge and give space. Then they flow in and out, and we don't have to be sort of so controlling about them, whether we deny them or lodge them in our hip crease here, or
Or throw them at somebody else.
throw them at somebody else. Great point, right? Because that's when we're disconnected and protected. Like if we bring it all the way back again with the difference of connection versus protection, right? When we're trying to do all of those things with our emotions or make up the problems, we're protecting ourselves. We're not able to connect with ourselves first, and then really deeply connect with somebody else.
Right. And I know in my inner relations with other people, friends, family, those times where I have felt difficulty in connecting, I look at it now and almost like I was trying to do it in reverse. Let me connect with somebody else so I can connect to me. So I was coming from a place of not having any idea what I was about, or what I really what I needed in that moment. And it became, at its worst, kind of glomming on to people. It was a real codependent impulse. Like, I need this person to give me what I need, but I don't even know what it is. and so I'm just going to throw shit at you
Mhm.
until you get it,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to withdraw from you
Mm-hmm.
and hope you get it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Never me,
Yep.
right? It was, and gauging myself, having other people tell me what kind of day I was going to have by how they were
Yep.
reacting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, what I would say to listeners who just went through that process, if you didn't connect to that, I understand, because it's
Mhm.
really difficult at first to experience it and then let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
It took practice.
Sure.
I remember early on the quote unquote how it went or whatever successes were there were minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd have these moments and then back, moments,
Yep.
then back, the
Mhm.
moments and back.
Yep.
And but what was great about that was to even get just the few minutes of it or just the glimpse of it or just to feel it.
Yeah.
It feels so natural and free and safe and connected that I knew it was there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the equivalent of like if you're looking at a closed door and there's a light at the bottom of the
Right,
door,
yes.
there's a light on in the back.
Yeah.
It's not enough to light anything,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can get through the door, there's plenty of light.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's what it felt like to me, and that's what got me so excited about continuing to do it.
Yeah.
All it takes is just a little bit of that experience
Mm-hmm.
to really show you what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was a game changer. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all we need.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, we got some more time. Sometimes, because I wanted to add a couple things. Sometimes that's all we need. It's not like we're trying to get to this place where we're just going to, I think I said this before, like, I've brushed my teeth today, so now I don't have to brush my teeth ever again, right? Like we don't,
Right.
we're not going to ever get to that place with this.
Have to do it every
Like,
day.
I had this amazing practice, so I am here and I should be fine for
Mhm.
however long, right? Like the practice is in the moments that we need connection with ourselves.
Right.
Because if we keep thinking that other people have to be in a particular way for us, you have to be this way that I need you to be so that I can be the way that I want to be.
Oh boy.
No. And that's what we're doing to each other all over the place.
Holy moly. That's the number one problem, it feels
Yes. If we can use this practice and beyond to really start to connect to ourselves, we have the freedom then to be who we want to be. We don't have to have permission or acceptance or validation from another person first
like.
before we're able to do that.
And then we can allow them to be who they are
Exactly.
because they're not having to make up any
Yes.
deficiencies in ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really true. And I have experienced that in many of my relationships. Several have seen profound growth because of that, and are just better.
It's
Better.
just simpler. It's just easier.
Simpler.
We're not
Easier,
we're
more
not
honest.
protected from each other all the time. I've got to protect myself all the time from you until you are the person I want you to be.
Right.
When's that going to ever happen?
And in the meantime, I got to just maneuver whatever I'm going to say or what I'm going to do around what I think is going to get me what I need. And you're not even in reality anymore.
No, you're making up you're all over the place.
Yeah.
And we're stressed and we're anxious and feel chaotic or we are,
Lonely.
yeah.
To me, what I keep coming back to is this helps explain why for so much of my life I could feel lonely in a room full of people. Even people I know I love and I know love me, because I was unable to do that. It's that protection, but then wanting somebody else to either be vulnerable or break it down or
Yes.
man.
Right. It's our own responsibility to connect with ourselves first, practice that on a daily basis, brush our bellies, our seats, whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, you got to do it. Got to do it every day, right? There has to be some kind of ability to check in with and validate and take care of and have compassion for self.
And yeah, absolutely. And I think the other part of it too is, particularly if you're a newer person to this, and this is the first episode you're listening to, this is based in how the body's designed, right? The ventral vagal system, you learn to use it, it suddenly is making its own muscles, right? And the brain is going towards pathways that it knows works. But the things that we tend to go to for relief or to numb ourselves out, or in worst cases, addictions, It's because our brains know that when we go there, we can get that relief, or
Get a
at least we
relief.
think we can.
Yeah.
So what I love about this is that it's exercising literally
Mm-hmm.
new muscles
Mm-hmm.
in the body through the ventral vagal system to get ourselves calm, centered, connected.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the most powerful part of it. And maybe that's the physiological side of why those things I used to worry about a lot, or the stories that come up over time, they go away in terms of, or they diminish
Mm-hmm.
in their strength and in their, and how often they pop up, their
Yes.
repetitiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause it's,
Yeah. Less stories, more safety in the body, right? The stories are what keep us in our fight or flight. Not only, but we have to run from a bear. We're fight or flight. There's no story there. But
right.
right. So
When we're talking about stories,
Stories.
yes, that's not a story.
Yes.
That's a danger.
yes, story keeps us in the fight or flight. So, yes, the nervous system. If this is the first podcast you're listening to, definitely circle back around
Mhm.
and listen to the first and second. We don't have to complicate the nervous system, but certainly we know fight or flight and we know freeze. This is the opposite of all of those, what we're doing, and it is biologically based.
Mhm.
The softening allows for us to get into that system,
Mhm.
the connecting with breath, connecting with ourselves. There's no danger here.
None.
The stories are dangerous sometimes. They're very protective.
Mm-hmm.
So we get underneath them. No danger in the body. Body's wired to handle. And we can start to sit in there in our seat more often, connect with ourselves, take care of ourselves, and then we don't have to put that burden on other people. And we can have stronger and deeper connections with them because we're not putting the burden on them.
Right. And find that maybe what felt like a burden really isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's the story that's the burden, maybe not the reality.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe not the reality.
Yes.
Yeah, and and I know, because we've heard from people already who've had lots of questions around
Mm-hmm.
how does this work when something really, like, there's a reality that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Loss of a loved one, a death, grief, those types of things. How do these things work? It does work in all of those. I've experienced that as well. But it's not so much about the reality of what's happening. It's the stories that we build out of it. And that we're going to keep saying that over and over again, because it's not what I love about this is that it allows the emotions that I'm feeling. It allows me to be present with them and for them to do what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm grieving something, and we hear this all the time, actually, right, from other things. You gotta let that go. You gotta let it just do its thing. It'll take time, right? That's all the TV shows. It says, well, give it time, give it time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says time, heals all wounds. I think time well spent does.
Yes.
Can do a lot more of that. And I think that for me anyway, it's been to let grief, whatever it is, expand.
Mm-hmm. It's the expansion that does the trick.
Yeah.
Like it allows for it kind of to sort of dissolve.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to move through instead of becoming this big, huge chunk that we don't want to face, that we've lodged somewhere in our body. No kidding. Stop kidding ourselves. We are carrying it around whether we want to face it or not.
Right.
Might as well leave space open. We lighten our load, and this is part of the way in which we do that.
And it prevents the flood. It prevents
does
the
prevent
dam
the
from
flood,
breaking,
yeah.
right? Because you let that river run.
Yep.
And you're exactly right, because even though waves of those difficult feelings will come,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they don't last.
Mm-mm. No.
They don't last. And that by itself, for someone like me who is historically terrified of those negative feelings, 'cause I feel they're going to destroy me, to see them rise up and then ebb
Mm-hmm.
takes away their power.
Yes, and one story I want to share. So one of the things that I didn't discover this, I practiced it and I noticed it, and I didn't discover it. But one of the things that happens, and I'll say this really quick, is when I'm in session with a couple, and there's a lot of tension between the couple, what I soften, and guess what happens? They soften.
Hmm.
So think about that. We'll leave you with that.
Oh, the connectivity of softening.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's contagious.
Wow. Once again, we've covered a lot.
Yes.
We've covered a lot. This was really good. Great example. Great story to pick up on.
Came up. Yep.
And I hope all of you listening or watching,
Mm-hmm.
that was valuable for you as well. Certainly keep going back to that practice if it's helpful for you. And you can join us in between sessions at our Facebook group. Just look up the name of this podcast, Breaking Up with Our Bullshit, and you'll find it. You can join it. It's a public group. You can put in your comments. You can ask questions. We post content every other day or so, short videos, that type of thing. And we are also on Instagram. We will soon be on Twitter, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us for
Yes,
this.
thank you.
And thank you, Tawny, for that introduction to the practice.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll figure out what we'll talk about next time by the time we get here for next time.
Next time we'll know.
So
Yeah.
we're going to debunk the junk.
Debunking the junk.
Debunking the junk. So thank you for joining us. Anything else you want to say to everybody?
No, nothing. Caught me off guard. I, try to look, play with this bullshit word. I don't know.
Bullshould.
Yeah, bullshit. I'm going to be thinking a lot about it.
I think that is the title.
Yeah.
So we'll something with bullshit in it. So
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. You
Yeah.
don't need to stick around for that. So we will see you all next time on Breaking Up with Our Bullshit. I'm JDK Winnikin.
And I am Tawny Santabria.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
Quite a certain harmful habit.
Stop it now, I mean it.
I don't think he felt anything after the crash.
I'm in my groove. Here we go. Break a friend. I need it up front.
To be right, everybody else to be wrong.
I got something to prove.
A new man has come into my life, and I'm going to stay here in New York to see what it is about him that intrigues me so.